Hey, Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
You know what
Who are you?
You know hey, I've actually been here the entire time. You know what I need?
What do you need?
What do you need?
A breath of fresh movie.
Oh, well, that's
that
actually
was perfect. We're just gonna use that.
Convenient because we're already in the same room together.
Cool.
Well, you just stay right where you are.
That's a movie I like to see.
This is a Breath of Fresh Movie, a podcast where I, Victoria Harley,
And Chelsea Pope.
we watch a movie, sometimes with a friend.
Me.
Yeah. And then we talk about it. And this week we have a special guest, Michelle Driscoll,
Thank you.
an actor, a comedian, and one of the funniest fucking people online that you
yeah.
haven't heard of yet.
Aw.
Is that a horrible thing to say? Was that a really backhanded
it's
way?
true.
There's
No one's
some
heard
people that listening that are like, I've heard of her.
I mean, there's all these real deep indie people. But I'm just saying, people should know who you are because
Hell yeah.
hilariously funny videos. I enjoy them.
Yes,
Thank you.
same series.
Yeah.
We are fans.
And
Thanks,
also, Michelle and I are on a sketch team together. So,
Yeah.
you know, we know.
We know each other.
We know each other.
Yeah, they're like, I'm just like kind of just sort of like hanging out, just like
Yeah.
watching two friends like reunite and
Yeah.
stuff. And it's like, you know, it's like kind of warm. It's like a nice feeling like watching two people.
I feel like I keep inviting guests that are like friends of mine. And then I feel like
I
I'm
do not
icing
have
you
friends.
out.
I'm
Like,
just, that's like, no.
So we're like internet friends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
which is sort of like being pen pals in
Yeah.
like the 21st
Wow.
century.
That's a
21st
modern pen pal.
century
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah,
what else is
it
there?
is.
Did you guys ever have like pen pals?
I
or-
wanted to. They
Oh.
never would keep it up.
I
Yeah,
had a,
mine fell
wait,
off
no,
too.
you go.
Oh no, you go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, you go.
I had an internet boyfriend from an AOL chat room.
Oh, what?
Oh.
Tell us more.
For like a day, and
my
then this
God.
was around the time where everyone was really big on like stranger danger. So I was like, "Are you an old man?" And he was like, "No, are you?" And I was like, "No." And so my best friend convinced me to break up with him. And then I found out that she started seeing him,
What? Oh my god.
and his username was piano. Maybe I shouldn't say this. I'll
Do it.
say
No, do
piano
it.
manum like 11 or something like
So
that.
a Billy Joel reference?
Yeah.
I mean, girl, you're better
Oh,
off.
lame.
You know?
Well, my username was Mermaid Princess 9, so
Oh hell yeah! Was those are
the first 8 were taken.
yeah.
that's the best fantasy creature entity, the best rank and royalty, and the best number out of 10. Like, what's not
so
to
right.
like?
Yeah.
What's not to like?
That's a hit.
Yeah, and I
You're
put
right.
that thought into it when I made that name.
exactly.
That's exactly 100%.
Right after you did like a game of MASH on a piece of paper to find
Yeah.
out if you were going to live in an apartment or a shack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Should I be a
man,
mermaid or a
love
princess?
MASH.
Yeah.
Love MASH.
Tells our futures.
I think I played MASH with Scully during the pandemic at some point, just for fun.
Yeah,
I don't.
just for the
I might just be
nostalgia.
inventing a memory, but I could have sworn that I like was like, "What kind of car would you want?" And like, I just feel like I was like asking that, and he was like, "I don't know, just like something like a good
good one.
a good car, like a,
You know, that is like hilarious, the idea of playing MASH as like a 35-year-old, like, you know,
Yeah.
well, I want something with good mileage.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you get a house.
Dependable.
Well, do I own the house or am I
good.
renting it? You know, like
Yeah, write that down, write that down, write that down.
adult MASH." I'm just writing down other people's ideas. I'm stealing.
no,
That's what it is.
I am a premise father many times over.
Yeah, but that is
A
funny.
father
The
to a
idea, or
premise.
like,
Father to many
been
a
a father
premise.
before.
Yeah.
To a premise. I feel like also adult MASH is just kind of like having a conversation, though.
Right.
Kind of just like
Oh.
chatting.
It's just like girls' night out.
Yeah, it's
you
like,
know.
well, I want a car. Oh, well, I was looking at this car.
All right, so we've been avoiding the subject here.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't blame you. Today's film is the 2003. I don't even know. Let's just say movie. I don't even know how to describe it.
it is a movie.
It is
It's
technically a movie.
a film, yeah.
Gigli, or as many refer to it.
Jiggly.
Thank you.
Giggly.
Giggity, giggity.
Giggly.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid ass name.
Lots of options.
I hate it.
It's you know, that's what it deserves. It's kind of a.
It doesn't mean anything. It's not helpful in any like way. He's not this memorable character where it's important to know the name. You know, it's like at least like Clifford, the Martin Short movie. It's like Clifford is an iconic, like not an icon, but you know, like he's, you know, this movie's gonna be about this dude, this character being a character.
I'll be honest. I thought Gigli was the girl until
I also thought it was a girl.
I thought it was a girl named too.
I thought it was a rom-com.
Yeah.
I thought this was Jersey Girl.
Yeah.
It's not Jersey Girl.
I thought it was this Jersey Girl.
I think it was also. It does think it's a rom-com, though, right?
It does.
Like, it really does.
It's very like with that music is very 90s, early thousands type rom-com strings music type.
Yeah.
Junk.
Which is why there's so much yelling towards the end, and it's so out of place.
Yeah, that whole scene.
That's that one scene really just like came out of nowhere, and then the end with the music. I was like, what vibe are we going for in this movie?
Oh yeah, she was a mess. She was a mess.
Yeah, no, totally.
J-Lo looked great, but
oh yeah, so good.
Gigli was a mess.
So this has a 6% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow, that many.
Yeah, that many. It's extremely bad, but it's like strangely bad, right?
Yeah.
Like it feels like a play almost, because it almost all takes place in one setting.
Yeah.
But it's like the worst play you've ever seen. In fact, I have a great review quote here. It says, "It's like the weirdest, shittiest off-Broadway play you've ever seen." That was Scott Maslow at GQ.
Should we say what, like, we should give like
plot?
a slight plot? Anybody who hasn't seen it, which is like most people haven't seen
Right,
it.
yeah, a lot
I
of
just
people
knew it
didn't
was
see
like
it.
world's worst movie.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Well deserved.
what it was about.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
really knocked that out of the park. You fucking nailed that shit.
So, I mean, in a nutshell, this is a movie about a mobster decides to call one of his like enforcers to like go kidnap the brother of an attorney general or some high-ranking district attorney. I don't know. Somebody important in the legal system at the federal level. And then we're going to kidnap his brother, and you're going to like, you know, sit with this guy until like, you know, we can put pressure on them to take, I don't know, pressure off our case. Anyway, there's this whole mob thing. It's a mob thing. They're trying to make a mob. This is like a movie that is kind of a rom-com, but also a mob movie, but it fails kind of at both.
Feels at everything.
It really feels at everything. You're
Yeah.
right. But I mean, a big part of it is like, I just not from the first moment I saw Ben Affleck on screen, I just didn't buy this.
His accent was a little
Aggressively awful.
It was pretty rough.
I wrote it down. Hold on. What did I say? I have no idea what this is about. I thought this was Jersey Girl. 50 seconds in, Italian accent. And then also J-Lo has like an Italian accent.
She's got it. She's like adding her. I don't think she talks with that much of accent usually, or does she? Am I being shitty?
She's from the Bronx. I'm also from the Bronx, and like there's a slight accent, but it's not that. She's
like
adding something.
Yeah, she's like was playing. I just don't remember it being that intense, like in The Wedding Planner, for instance.
That's what I was thinking.
She does have some moments like my shoe. You know, like she has a little bit of a cutesy voice, like in general, the way she does like a bit of that Marion Cotillard like small mouth thing, where you know their mouth opens bigger, but they talk on everything is on the lips. Like
you know who does that? The girl in Gilmore Girls.
Split out.
Yeah, she does. This is very like everything's up in the front, like right here.
Oh my gosh! So I was carrying so many books.
Yeah,
I hated that show. Okay, I have some reviews here. I'm just gonna read a few reviews.
Let's go.
Okay. This is from Jeff Giles at Newsweek. After the schadenfreude thrill of watching beautiful people humiliate themselves wears off, it has the same annihilating effect on your will to live. From Joe Morgenstern at the Wall Street Journal. More stupefying follies may come, but it's impossible to imagine how they'll beat this one for staggering idiocy, fatuousness, or pretension. A few people tried to defend it, and like you can always tell when like there are writers who just like needed 500 words to turn in, because there were like a smattering of articles in this year basically 2021 that were kind of like trying to defend and take like a contrary view on Gigli, but like it wasn't good then. It is not aged any better. I
think it's gotten worse.
Oh, absolutely.
I could imagine maybe in 2003 someone being like, "Oh, it was bad." But now it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's a problem on so many levels.
It deserves to go to hell.
And you bring up a good point there, actually, too, Michelle, where you're talking about, it's like, yeah, the year it came out, it's significant how bad this film is in a sea of like mediocrities and
we have a list.
and yes, what do we got down?
margin.
Yeah, this is the same year. Other movies in 2003: Freaky Friday, Bruce Almighty, Swimming Pool, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, Italian Job, Old School, Just Married, Bringing Down the House. And that's not to say that these are all bad movies. There's some very good, entertaining movies in this bunch, but it was a vibe then. This movie was even worse than an already kind of like there's a permeating cringe that occurs kind of across the board with a lot of these movies. I like really can't think of an exception. It's all the more worse for it being as awful as it was in that time where we were pretty forgiving about what we called a good movie. A good or bad movie. Yeah.
This was like officially a box office bomb. I think the budget was, what was it, like
a fuck ton. It was like it said like
73 million.
73?
Yeah, to make this it was in one room.
You could have told me $200,000.
This was a passion project for most of the people involved.
It was like it was. I bet a lot of that's the salaries, but it cost 73 million. It made 7 million.
J-Lo made more than this movie. Like to do this movie, she was paid 12.
Yeah, they didn't even make back her salary.
Iconic. Love that for her.
Insane. Yeah, love that for her.
That's amazing.
Yeah, girl, love that for you.
God.
Oh man.
A few minutes in, I was like, what did I suggest?
I mean,
Oh, God.
thank you for that. I think Ben Affleck was more threatening in Dazed and Confused than he was in this movie.
Yeah,
You know?
Ben Affleck was like a wet noodle in this movie.
Yes.
He's a terrible character.
He's like depressed, and it's like, okay, so Sheely is him, so it's his emotional journey. So I'm like, okay, he's the one we're supposed to care about. I've never seen a less likable protagonist.
Yeah.
Like, he's such an asshole to like a mentally challenged person.
Yeah.
He's constantly like act normal and like screaming at him. It's like, okay, this is not endearing.
Yeah.
And then when he encounters Ricky / Rochelle, that's her real name, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
I've been calling her
spoiler
J-Lo.
alert.
I forgot her
Just
name.
J-Lo. No, we'll call her J-Lo.
Yeah.
But when J-Lo shows up, he's just constantly trying to like get with her until he finds out she's a lesbian, which doesn't stop him at all.
No,
And
he
they just
guilts
keep,
the lesbian
yeah.
into having sex with him. And
Yeah.
then she's like, you know what? Even though I've discovered this one thing about myself, I'm actually going to go back on it to have sex with this white man. Very unappealing man.
the least appealing person I can think of.
He's fucking.
We watched an interview with Ben Affleck from like 2003 when this movie came out, and he was like reading the bad reviews and just trying to laugh through it. It was like a Tonight Show. But forget all that. It was just like the way the audience was screaming for him, the smile, like he just had this kind of joy, like oh my God, I'm on top of the world, like. And then I just think about all those memes of him
Drinking nice
like,
coffee.
yeah, like his Dunkin' Donuts and his feeling,
Him standing at the beach, constant, like his like just over it.
or the
vibes,
one where he's like his eyes are closed, he's got the cigarette in his hand, he's like out in the alley, like, you know, like,
yeah.
I mean, I just like I have this image of him as like I feel like this was the beginning of the down. Right? Like
You're
this
right.
is how he started to get this reputation. They're together again, right?
Yeah.
I honestly think that's why I was like, oh, Gigli.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, it's relevant, and you know, it's like it's back in the zeitgeist, you know. And it is one of those movies that like I had some curiosity about eventually watching at some point, like how bad is bad. You know, like where does the bar, like how low does it go? And
it hit the floor.
Below the floor, actually.
Below the floor. Like, honestly, like truly, this movie I knew again was going to be bad, but it was bad in like surprising ways.
The guy who wrote and directed this, Martin Brest, he's made some movies. Meet Joe Black, Midnight Run. Beverly Hills Cop, Scent of a Woman, which is probably like the biggest deal thing that he's
Okay.
ever done, right?
Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop, I don't know. And his first film was Going in Style. He's also from the Bronx, actually.
Hey.
He went to Stuyvesant High School. He went to NYU School of the Arts.
Hey, I went there.
Graduated from AFI Conservatory. But this film is kind of like, it kind of ended his career directing.
Good. That's what he gets.
Yeah. It's the same thing. We're like, you know what?
Good.
This movie deserved to fail.
Like he not just like
This
stopped
deserved
working,
to
like
fail.
withdrew from public.
Yeah.
I think and you know what? At first I was like, yeah, shame on you, get away. But then I did read something interesting that at some point control was wrested away from him by the production company, Revolution Studios. They took control, creatively rewrote and reshot stuff, and I gotta pull it up. I found there was a film reviewer who went and saw the original cut and then summarized it, and it's radically different.
Really?
And it makes so much more sense. So I'm gonna pull it up and read it, and it's long, so
I
we'll
want to
pause
I'm
for
actually like really interested.
Yeah. What a hero, though.
Oh, I kind of feel bad for this little guy.
This poor little guy.
Poor little director.
Poor little.
His vision was ruined.
Poor little guy. Poor little dude. Poor little
I'm sure
Joe Black.
he's got like
Sent him-
millions of dollars. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
I'm out.
That's okay.
At any time, stop me. So the film plays more or less the same up to Al Pacino's cameo as mob boss Starkman, with the core trio of Larry, Ricky, and Brian coming together in the exact same way, and Larry and Ricky sparring until she boldly declares, "It's turkey time." One subtle adjustment, however, makes a difference. In the release version, the first real indication that Larry has any inclination toward leaving criminal life behind comes late in the film. It's like a last-minute twist. In the original cut, though, his desire to leave the mob grind is established much earlier and more clearly, mere moments after the opening scene in the laundromat. So we see Larry close his eyes and visualize this clean place shown on screen as a pristine tropical beach overlooking an impossibly clear ocean. So when he finally makes mention of the clean place to Ricky, the audience knows exactly what he's talking about. Also, this once recurring thread gives Larry a stronger link to Brian, as though they are both, though Larry fails to recognize it, in a sense searching for the Baywatch, thus turning what seems like a cheap TV pop culture reference into something a little more meaningful. Not long after the scene with Starkman comes the scene with Larry, Ricky, and Brian driving by the Baywatch. Much to Brian's delight, is open. After this point, the two Giglis, that's a funny sense, veer in wildly different directions. In the release version, the three of them stop at the beach. Larry makes the arrangements for Brian to return home. He joins the music video, meets the girl. And then, Larry and Ricky take their car and drive away, fade out credits. While a beach set scene also capped off the first version of Gigli, there was still a good deal of movie left to go at this point, during which a number of the plot and character points left dangling in the release cut are resolved. A number of points are resolved in the scene immediately after this first pass by Baywatch. Larry pulls the car over by the side of the road, and then Ricky finally comes clean to Larry, no doubt due to the violent scene at Starkman's place. She reveals that her real name is Rochelle, and she actually isn't a contractor, which she then follows through on a number of points made earlier in the film. One, during their first meet, Larry tells her that he hadn't seen her around before and she didn't look like a contractor. Two, Ricky's insistence on talking her way out of sticky situations, namely the confrontation with thugs, the fast food stand, blah, blah, blah. Ricky then goes on to reveal that the actual hit woman was her girlfriend Robin, whose single scene appearance barging into Larry's apartment and slashing her wrists is rather bewildering without this payoff.
It is very bewildering. Jesus Christ.
She and Robin had some relationship problems, and as an escape, Rochelle tried to taste what Robin's life was like, hence her showing up on Larry's doorstep. Since she was role-playing, Ricky's fence jumping with Larry makes more sense, as perhaps she did it because it was something she thought Robin would do. Even quote-unquote turkey time makes more sense, as though perhaps Rochelle's misbegotten idea of tough speak. But now, having had her taste, after seeing Starkman kill Larry's higher-ups, Lewis right in front of them, Rochelle gets Larry to pick up and leave with her. He declines, so Rochelle takes her things and leaves him and Brian in the car. She is never seen or heard from again for the rest of the film. There's no friendly reunion, let alone a lovey-dovey one. Not only does the loss of this scene harm the film from a basic story perspective, it also does disservice to Lopez's performance. The entire crux of the character is in this scene, and indeed, it is Lopez's finest moment in the film. With its deletion, what's left is a performance that can understandably be criticized as being overly soft, less than convincing portrayal of a mob enforcer, because after all, Ricky was originally conceived and performed as never being an actual one. It's a weird sentence. With Ricky/Rochelle gone, Larry decides to do the right thing and turn Brian into Christopher Walken's cop character, Jacobellis, whose role is now substantially larger than the cameo that remains. The two meet up in a warehouse where Jacobellis, in another showy Walken speech, reveals that he has been working for Starkman all along, thus showing that even to Larry, the apparent good guys in this world are also corrupt. There's gunplay. Larry ends up shooting Jacobellis dead. However, Larry catches a bullet himself square in the gut. A visibly shaken Brian sees the wound. "You're bleeding, Larry," he says matter-of-factly, states in noticeably more somber tone. But Larry insists that he's fine. Slowly bleeding to death, Larry drives Brian all the way back to the Baywatch. There's a certain bittersweetness as Brian's excitement contrasts against Larry's selfless dying. And the Rough Cuts temp score, Hans Zimmer familiar Gladiator music, effectively enhanced the mood. That sounds awful.
That sounds terrible.
Much of what follows then progresses as seen in the release version. Larry urges Brian to join the dancers. Brian meets the Australian girl. However, Larry's reaction shots are completely different. Instead of being alive and upright, nodding along, Larry's lying in the sand, bleeding, dying, which then makes Brian's shyness and uncertain looks all the more understandable. The music in the rough cut was Let's Get Loud, a track from Lopez's first album, and dancing starts, as in the release version. The action eventually goes into slow motion, but then we end on Larry's face as he looks to the ocean, which we can see is the spitting image of his fantasy clean place. He's finally found it, and what led him there was, ironically, the path he was hoping to escape.
Oh man, I think that could have taken that all the way up to like a 16% maybe.
Yeah, but I am picturing just like Ben Affleck bleeding out and then let's get loud.
And that's making me think of the Cinderella movie, the new one with the fucking Camila Cabello, and they're singing "Let's Get Loud" in the street.
Yeah.
Better, but still bad.
Yeah, better but bad.
Like still really bad.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a focus group, and then the production studio they panicked and they made this happen.
Yeah.
You know,
And they shouldn't have, because also now
it's a lesson.
after watching this movie, I
Yeah.
had one big question, which was, so are they off the hook with Al Pacino?
No.
No, but Al Pacino.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We don't see him again.
He's gonna hunt them down and kill them for sure.
Oh, so it's like unspoken off the screen.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think the movie wants you to think they're going to be okay.
Okay, I want to see
Yeah,
it.
because it's not. Cause apparently, it's like this whole mob stuff is such a background, half-assed, like uncared for setting for this rom-com. Because basically, this dude just wanted to write a rom-com about turning a lesbian straight, and I think added all of this other. And it feels like that's the basis of this story, if anything, and all this other shit like really barely mattered at all. Like again, the Christopher Walken character with the one scene,
had no
and
purpose.
Al Pacino having just one scene. And like I was telling Victoria, I don't think they were even in the same room with him when he shot the scene, because there's never a wide cut of them all in the room together.
That's a good point.
And
He just did it like at home.
yeah, imagine he's there. They only
to match this.
he was only there for literally like the equivalent of like a half-day shoot for that one scene, and he's only in the shot at the same time actually with the dead body. He's not even with the guy when he's alive. Like, I don't think.
Wait, that would make so much sense, because his yelling in that scene is so not justified. It's just like truly like
it's
yelling.
so unhinged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would make a lot of sense.
I do think he is voicing a frustration a little bit, that as an audience, as someone watching this movie, he does bring up a point like, what a dumbass idea to kidnap the kid.
He does, but like, and yet that whole thing undermines the entire plot. Like, for him to be like, oh, that the whole movie that you've been watching
Was stupid.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, buddy, I know.
He's the meta.
I know it's stupid.
That's
I'm
the
watching
meta
it.
moment. Like the director's trying to lampshade, where he's trying to be like, it's cool. I called it out. I
know, so I'm ahead of it.
I'm ahead of it. I said this. I
Actually.
said it before you could leave the theater and say it.
So
That's
actually,
exactly.
your reviews won't even hurt.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, not really. No, because like I was in on it the whole time. I actually knew the whole time I wrote the script that these characters are being stupid. So
Yeah. So I'm smarter.
I'm ahead of it.
Yeah.
I already covered it.
So how do you look at your nails? Wasn't that like a plot point of this
Yeah,
thing? Was
it was
like,
like, if
would
it's
you
like
do this
this-
or like that?
Oh Jesus
like,
Christ!
No, that's the thing. Like this movie, like makes these really clumsy attempts to like understand where the gender differences are, and it's like
Battle of the sexes.
It's over stupid things like, right, how do you look at your nails, or I wrote some other bullshit down. It's not a strong enough story. Like,
I kind of don't understand what the point of the movie was.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite honest.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, obviously, like, it went through some changes. It sounds like the director didn't have control, and certainly the actors didn't. And there is something really kind of upsetting about the thought that, like, oh, you played a character soft deliberately, and then they recut a movie that basically makes your whole performance look like shit, you know, because, like, they took out the important context. Like, the music really was infuriating to me. It was, like, a lot of electric piano, and, like, I don't know.
It was terrible.
I couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, and what do we think about Brian?
Oh god.
Oh my god.
What do we think?
We've been avoiding it.
I want to just
We need to talk about it, though.
we need to talk about Brian.
I feel like they wrote this character and kind of just used him as like a punching bag for Gigli, for Ben Affleck.
Totally.
Yeah.
And like just really God, it's just so poor. And then also just Justin Bartha. I'm so disappointed in him.
It's like good for him, like that so few people did see this movie because
no one really connects it with him. It's
Thank
kind of just
God.
all on Ben Affleck.
because thank God, because this is definitely like a career ruiner. Like what a painful watch, you know.
It's rough.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like a nervousness I felt, you know, just because it's an actor portraying somebody who's mentally challenged that is a little bit, you know, this can always go bad. Some critics at the time felt he was like the only good performance. I don't necessarily agree with that.
I don't agree with that.
No, I don't either.
I think he was it almost felt kind of like making fun of in a way.
Yeah, it was a weird.
Oh, it was awful.
No, the whole thing about it is
yeah. There was this scene, you know.
It's so hard to talk about because I just
want to say, like, for me, the epitomal, like, wow, this movie is a surprise, like, on a surprising level of fucked up that I did not expect is when, you know, the lesbian girlfriend storms in, she has her scene, and she actually just casually cuts her wrists and shows them, and they did like some sort of
where you could
digital
see it.
blood work on her arm for her to just be casually bleeding, and then it cuts to them in the hospital. It's like, this bitch really did just like run into the room and cut her wrists, and they played this as like a form of like comedy, because then it cuts to Ben Affleck and the kid in the car, like just outside the hospital, watching inside the hospital, and the look on the kid's face is just like,
yeah,
like he's smiling like very like he doesn't know what the fuck is going on, or he's just like he's having fun or something. Like he's just being and then they start talking about that and that in that scene while they're waiting for J-Lo to come out of the hospital and say that her ex-girlfriend's gonna be okay. That's when they start talking about how his penis sneezes.
Yeah, that's like
when
him. Yeah.
And then it happened in that moment in the car.
Yeah.
He says, "Bless you," and like to something Ben Affleck says, and he's like, "Oh, thank you," and he's like, "No, it's my penis." Like,
yeah,
it's just it does feel like it's making fun of like a person with a disability.
Yeah,
it's like on a whole.
It's
new
also
level.
like it's exploitative.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's for a cheap laugh, which is really gross.
Yeah,
it's
at his own expense.
It's also such a combination of like, okay, is it autism, Tourette's, or some other thing, like a mixture?
To look it up.
They never like specifically
say.
And I mean, I'm not saying it needs to define it. It's just it's so.
But then it's kind of just generalizing it. I
is,
think
yeah.
in the Wikipedia it said like he's a person with an intellectual disability.
Okay.
But then also reviews, I read some reviews that said he's a person with autism. So I'm not sure if anyone actually knows. And I think the people who wrote it should have, well, first of all, probably shouldn't even had this character kind of drive the story in the first place. I think that's insane.
I agree.
But like they should, if they were going to, because I know it's 2003, it was like a different time. but then they should have done like this person, the service that they're doing him a disservice by not filling out his story, because it's kind of
Yeah.
You just see him in the hospital.
he's just a person.
Yeah.
He's a person who's different, and that's it.
And he just and then Ben Affleck's character Gigli goes in and just fucking, we're gonna go for a walk. Like they just let him in, and one of the other like mentally challenged characters leads him to Brian. None of that makes sense.
No, none of it. There's nobody supervising. Nothing.
It's just
There's
it's an
there's no
insane
one
scene,
supervising
the
it.
kidnapping, so to speak.
Also, this is what kind of kidnapping do you drive around town in a convertible with the top down, like going to the beach in the mall? Like, what kind of kidnapping is this exactly? Because you are not
Very out in the open.
very out in the open
Then he
kidnapping.
pretends-
Christopher Walken just came to your house and was like, "Hey,
What was that
there's
whole
this
thing about the
missing-"
Marie Callender's? I get a big
Oh.
bowl of pie.
It took me a second. I was like, "Is Marie Callender's a place?"
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like a box of food that you made.
I mean, it's both.
It's the actual like chain
It's a real
restaurant,
thing.
Coco's, Caro's.
you're saying things that I'm not
Oh,
understanding.
what? Wow.
Bill Knapp's.
Cracker Barrel or something. Yeah,
okay.
there, and like it's a chain of like home style restaurant.
But they also have, it seems like those kinds
Then now
of
they have frozen
restaurants
foods and
have
stuff.
like food products on the shelf. So.
And Marie Callender's is about the pot pies. Which is like
Right.
their signature dish. That's why they got the frozen ones. And
But they
then,
do pies,
and
too.
pie. So you can get like a chocolate silk, but you can get most kinds of pies. Or there's a Marie Callender one in the
this still
frozen
a thing?
section. I think. Yeah,
still-
yeah.
they
I
still
think
have
so.
Oh, I don't restaurant. Yeah, I think they're still in.
There might be one in like like
sworn I've been to-
Victorville or something.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by the pie idea.
But he says something like, if you put a piece of pie on the top of your head, your tongue would go crazy trying to get to it through your. He says some
I guess
weird
he's right.
shit.
Yeah, I guess he's right though.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do it. And I'm like,
I'm like, "Ugh."
there's a piece of pie on my
That
head.
is
I
just
would
a
be kind
wild
of like,
scene with Christopher
annoyed.
Walken. I mean, he's
That
always
is- it
kinda
is
crazy. But
crazy.
it's just a wild, unresolved, goes nowhere scene.
That's-
It is
that could be said of
definitely
the
a crazy
entire
scene.
movie though. if you
Yeah,
really
that's
think
true.
about
You're
it.
right. You're right. And maybe this is an unfair criticism given what we know now, but her threatening those kids.
No, and the fact that they labeled those kids as thugs, they were just hanging out in a restaurant
Yeah.
listening
Listening
to
to music.
music. And they were like, whoa, 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 these kids are,
This is why you have to know your enemy.
what the fuck?
And then she's like
Fucking
spouting all this
crazy.
like fake.
That
like,
scene was one of the worst scenes too. Like just fucking, she does that stupid ass like, I'm gonna try and intimidate you like Alan in Jurassic Park. Like this is how you can, 5-finger death punch somebody or fucking in the eye hole. Like
And
what's-
she's just like, she like slow walks to them and kind of talks really slow to
Oh,
get
it's
her
so
point across.
tedious.
I would just be annoyed. I'd be like, hurry it up.
Yeah.
What is the
yeah,
point? of the
I
statement?
hate those kinds of speeches in any movie when there's a
I-
character like trying to one up the villain
Yeah.
and some winded. No one
Well,
fucking cares.
And again, like part of why it feels like a bad play is because of these long monologues. It feels like audition monologues, like just
Yeah.
scattered throughout a story. She does her whole yoga speech about how
I tuned
great
out for that one. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I
Oh,
remember.
it's a bad
I did
one.
remember it because I was like, okay, this was written by a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Who's like
but
fetishizing a lesbian.
right, but definitely like not a gay man.
No.
Like that was the only thing excluded from her whole theory. It was like, I don't know, how about
Yeah.
all the men who don't want pussy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wrote that down. J-Lo loves coochie. Pussy.
My pussy.
And this is in that voice too. Again, she's like,
Men have moved mountains, and there have been ships sunk, and all the and nothing. My pussy.
like you're just,
And she's like, I love women's hips, their butt,
yeah,
their pussy.
yeah. So fucking
But
stupid.
then you give this beautiful monologue, right? This long, beautiful monologue about how you love hips and boobies and pussy. And then
Yeah.
at the end, you're like, actually, what if I had sex with a man? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
It's so true.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? She's like 30, probably like 30 something at this point.
yeah.
Probably has been a lesbian for a few years, has decided she doesn't like men. And then she meets Ben Affleck and she's like, wait, you're actually going to change
Yeah.
that for me.
Him in his like fake leather jacket, like the
And his hair that's slicked back but yet also puffed
it's
up.
puffed. Yeah, it's so disgusting.
like far away from his forehead.
It's such a fucking weird ass character, and they're in Los Angeles too, which is also just such a weird, out of place. Like,
No, I was gonna say like it's in Los Angeles, but then they're doing like New York Italian accents.
yeah,
It doesn't make any sense.
Are they all on
insane.
vacation?
Exactly.
Why are they
Yes,
here?
yes.
Exactly.
They're all on vacation. Yeah.
Why is this not set in New York?
Oh, it
It's
doesn't
supposed
make
to be a New York
makes no
movie.
sense.
It
at
should
all.
have been set in New York.
I could have forgiven a little bit of the tonal issues.
Ben and
Not
Jen
really.
didn't want to have to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was out
Taylor
of the
didn't wanna
budget.
fly.
They blew the budget at that point.
They were like, guys, we're cutting our own carrots for Crafty over here. We
Right.
spent it all on J-Lo.
we spent it.
How much do you think they spent on getting a Baywatch set?
I don't know, because that was like, I read in one of the various reviews or whatever that was a music video doing a Baywatch theme, and it wasn't actually an episode of Baywatch.
Yeah, and I hated how the character keeps saying not the TV show, but
And
then
then
he
it was
is.
the
It
TV
is
show.
like
It is the TV show.
show.
Like, well then,
Because he's
just a horny.
just so dumb.
Yeah,
He's just such a
right.
dumb.
God, no. I mean,
Oh my
and it's
God.
funny, like forgetting like the fact that people wrote and performed and created that situation, that character. If you just accept the reality of the situation, I was also just incredibly nervous for that person as a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
In the context of the story, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
this is awful what's happening to them right now. Like the only things all right, there's one moment I actually liked or thought was funny, and it was just reading the Tabasco bottle like to him. But I didn't think it was
Yeah.
like hilarious. I just thought it was like, this is the only part of the movie that kind of worked for me, and it wasn't. But the problem is, I read later like, oh, that was supposed to be touching, and I thought it was like,
Oh, that was supposed to be touching?
that felt more like
Yeah.
a trailer moment, like, you know.
That's interesting because I
Stepdads.
could see how probably they wanted it to be touching, but then Ben Affleck's performance of it was not.
No.
It kind of was
Yeah.
just like, fine, I'll read.
And he's never.
Blah,
There's
blah,
never
blah,
a,
blah, blah.
a shift.
Yeah.
At any
No.
point.
Yeah, there was no payoff.
No.
But I agree with you because I felt really bad for the character Brian, but not because like Justin Bartha's is that his name, Justin Bartha?
I think so, yeah.
I think
Okay.
so.
But not because his performance was so good and
Right.
moving, because it
No.
wasn't. It was
No.
actually like a horrible bastardization.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it was
I
pretty
felt
rough.
bad for this person.
Yeah.
As if it was a person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm gonna like suspend my disbelief and be in this story,
Yeah.
this is actually very upsetting.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Very upsetting on behalf of Brian,
Yeah.
Justin Bartha's performance of Brian.
Yeah.
I cannot stress this enough.
Yeah.
So deeply upsetting and uncomfortable. It was like I Am Sam. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It was that level
I
of
was-
performance.
I
where
was
it's like,
thinking of Sean Penn as I was
Yeah,
like,
it was rough.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Tropic Thunder.
Wait,
No,
yeah.
my eyes are raining. Fucking love Tropic Thunder. It's a good movie.
apparently people don't like Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, no, the people that tried to cancel it, people are torn on it, and I can understand.
I can understand
I can
it.
understand it, but also, it is a good
I
movie.
can
I'm sorry.
definitely understand it. I rewatched it recently and showed it to someone, and I was like, "No, but you have to understand."
Yeah,
why
is it the time that it came out?
funny in 2008.
It was so of its time at the same time that it's so not of its time, but like certainly think like I think in terms of satire, like nail on the head moments for sure about Hollywood, about the way people
Well, yeah.
exploit the differently abled minorities, like it's like
yeah, a lot of different movies have like really succinctly, in interesting ways, have like tapped into that idea. I just think, yeah, maybe Tropic Thunder. It's like, I mean, I've met people who are like, oh, I don't know if I could watch Blazing Saddles because they're like, I don't know, it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I'm like,
Sure.
I can understand that.
I mean, I can. Maybe I just grew up with it, and that's part of why I have comfort with it. But I'm also like, Richard Pryor like co-wrote the screenplay, though, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's not to say that Richard Pryor is like the ultimate seal of approval for like the Black community. There's no monolithic thing like that, but I don't know. It's like this was a collaboration though that was very much about trying to say things about race, that like people
Fair.
weren't willing to say, and it is
Yeah.
a satire. And maybe that's like Tropic Thunder's facing the same kind of thing, where people
Yeah.
they can't see who the joke is on. you
yeah,
know?
I do
Yeah.
think it's like a commentary on like movies like this.
yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
They're like making satire of this situation, but this movie is not doing satire. It's taking itself seriously. And so again, bringing it back to
Oh yeah,
this
with
character.
Gigli, with Brian. Yeah, it's a self-serious, story.
I mean, it's like this movie can't decide what it wants to be. It's like, does it want to be a rom-com? Does it want to
Is
be
it
a
a
crime
mafia
drama?
movie?
Yeah. Does it want to be a serious drama about a person's personal emotional journey and like and also like I just remember reading in some synopsis, I just saw the sentence like they decide to leave the mob, like it's leaving Girl Scouts or something.
Yeah, they're
It's
just
like,
gonna drive away. It's fine. It's cool, I mean, Al Pacino's never gonna leave that house, so
No,
as
he'll
long as they
never
don't
find
go
them.
back to his house, like he's harmless
He's
unless
like the giant
unless
at the top of the beanstalk or something. It's like as long as she could run away faster.
Where are they gonna go that they're gonna get away from
don't
like
know.
a big crime boss in LA?
She
Because it's
says,
not like
like-
he's like he just like works down the block and only works that block. He's a big crime boss in LA.
Yeah. It's no good.
So like
Where are they
where
gonna go?
they're like gonna drive to like Portland and just hipster out.
Find them.
Yeah, he's got people in Portland.
She'll stand out.
That's a movie I want to watch.
Mobster
The Mafia in
hipsters?
Portland.
Mobsters.
Well, I definitely.
Hip
I mean,
mobsters.
it was funny. I texted this to both of you before we got on, but I mean, a lot of different people had fun with this movie when it came out, and like because it was such a obvious terrible movie, obvious bomb.
Yeah.
The Onion had that great like article about like focus group demands an ending where both characters die. Like
You could tell me that was a serious article, and
I
I would
mean,
That
agree.
was a
it honestly does
Yeah.
feel like just
Funny.
truth because that's kind of like I wanted them all to die too.
Yeah, they all
Yeah.
sucked.
Yeah.
I
so
wanted
true.
all to die except for one, Brian. But
Yeah.
again, not because of the portrayal from the actor.
yeah.
Because of the ethics of the situation.
Because of
yes.
the ethics of the
Yeah,
situation.
Just the ethics ethically speaking.
Yeah. There were so many cringeworthy moments.
Oh, when
Heterolingus.
That
yeah,
was rough.
when they do have sex, and what does she say?
no.
She says like
Gobble,
gobble
gobble.
gobble, it's turkey time.
Turkey time. Gobble gobble.
I have never
That's so fucking
ever
disgusting.
related my coochie to a turkey.
That's so
ever
fucking
in my
gross.
life.
Gobble
Was it like a
gobble.
turkey dinner or like
like
Also,
gobble gobble.
like
How
come
does
eat it
she-
up?
Eat turkey. Because I usually just eat it kind of politely with a fork and a knife.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
She
if
wants.
it's like,
I think she wants some.
like
off
her
the
pussy
bone.
is the trough that a turkey is eating out of. Like you're the turkey. You're gonna play a turkey gobbling up my coot, which is now a trough for your turkey head to go into
so,
and just
but then
gobble
that
gobble
implies, then
gobble
that
gobble.
implies that like the coochie's kind of like slop.
Yeah,
no?
exactly. She got a
Oh,
slop. She got a slop
She got
puss
a
now.
slop puss.
Yeah.
That's fucking gross.
Well, it was
After this whole elaborate speech about her wonderful, amazing,
shipwrecks and
beautiful shipwreck pussy. Shipwreck pussy.
we have a title.
Oh my god. Fucking gobble gobble, get up in my slop trough.
Oh my god, it is. I don't even know. I don't. Please.
Just picturing like next time I have sex and be like, all right, it's turkey time. Get in there.
That's so gross. I mean, and it's like I like turkey, but it's also like a gross food to refer to. Like I don't like the word turkey is like stupid and like
It's
just
like
Turkey time.
turkey lurkey time.
I think it was because she wanted to say gobble gobble. I think it was to get to the gobble gobble.
Why didn't she just say like, eat up, bitch?
I know.
That would have been better.
That would have been way better.
Time.
Gobble gobble.
That was like she's very appealing, but she could not have been like less appealing in that
Yeah.
moment. Like
I had to pause. I literally paused and was like, you're lying. She did not just say that.
Fucking
Oh my god. Or when another thing is when he called her a Dicosaurus Rex.
Rexy.
I was like, did I just get crimed right now? Like,
I just get crimed.
I'm hearing this and I don't feel okay.
Officer, I'm dead.
God.
I have been murdered.
I was murdered. This was no good. This was definitely not
Terrible.
This was a stale breath of movie.
This
I
is
think.
the breath of fresh ass.
Yeah.
Gobble,
A
gobble.
gobble fucking God. And I hated that stupid jacket too that he was wearing. They're in Los Angeles and he's wearing this big ugly like
Puffy
Matrix like
Because then
Neo
also
jacket.
the scene where they're at the beach at the very end, people are wearing bikinis, and I was like, oh, so it's 80 degrees.
Yeah, it's warm
It's
out.
80
You,
degrees, and
you
he's
asshole.
wearing like a shirt under a sweater under a leather jacket.
He's
And
dressed
I
like
was
thought it was
swingers.
New York.
did they change the location
Last
like the day
minute.
before?
Yeah,
They're like,
they
oh,
must
actually,
have. They must.
But you're
have.
not allowed to change any of the wardrobe, the dialogue, or the
everything's
Also, shout out to that mob boss who like was completely inconsequential and immediately shot after just spending most of the movie yelling at him on the phone. And he's always like, he's just out like
Having brunch.
he's just like at an outdoor mall. Yeah, he's just brunching all the time.
He looked like he had an amazing life. I was like, if this is what
Yeah.
they do in the mob, like,
Is
all he
like,
does is
freelancing
shop.
that he just like gets to go to the
I
mall?
don't know.
Love that.
Love
Icon.
that. Love that. I know.
Love that for him.
Style
for him.
icon.
When he gets shot, love that for
Love that
him.
for him.
Right in the,
Icon.
right up, right there.
Oh, and then it cuts to the fish eating his brains. Like this movie got weirdly graphic
Would
at
a
times.
fish do that?
I wondered
I
that
don't know.
too. I was like, those
Would a fish eat
are...
like a brain?
Yeah, I'm like wondering what was the stuff they put in that fish tank made of that the fish were eating, because those were real fish eating.
It was real brain.
Whatever the fuck.
Oh, they ate real brain.
Yeah, oh, that was actually that actor actually did get shot in that scene. He died
dead.
for this.
Yeah.
He died for this movie.
This is his magnum.
Well, they were hoping for the
Magnum.
Heath Ledger effect, and it just didn't.
The method work didn't pay off.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I was embarrassed for everybody in this movie.
yeah.
I was embarrassed for myself for watching it.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
it alone. I'm glad.
I'm very glad I did it alone in my room.
This is tedious.
I've still really enjoyed talking about it though.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Anytime.
This is what movies are all about.
I mean,
Fuck you, Gigli, for bringing us together.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to.
Good
I'm
time.
going through my notes.
Like, go through your notes. If
Yeah,
there's
if you got more goodies.
At one point, J-Lo goes Oregon instead of Oregon.
Oh yeah, when she's
Oregon.
talking Oregon.
Is that a different place?
I don't know.
That's Oregon.
She wants to be Oregon from this
Heyo.
movie.
Heyo.
Yay.
Oh, he gave her his car. A win for the gays.
No, but then she comes back and says that she'll
for the
take
gays.
a loss for the gays.
Honestly, the notes, those are great. Those are
Yeah.
like little poems.
Yeah,
Wait,
it's
wait.
great.
He's guilting her into being straight. Ugh. Oh, it's turkey time, gobble gobble. When they have sex and Ben Affleck is looking out, he looks like he's spaced out. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a
like
few moments
kind of like
that.
cross-eyed, and it's almost like he's like not there. And so she goes, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Bless you, penis." Like it's
Yeah,
What
no.
was he doing?
I don't know. I noticed
Yeah.
it bothered me at the beginning of the movie. Maybe it cooled off a little bit, but he acted a lot with his tongue.
Yes.
Like his mouth will be open and it's a lot of action going on like behind those teeth.
Do you think he's trying to be like maybe he watched like an episode of The Sopranos and was like,
I think so.
Yeah.
Or
do
he,
that.
or he just took like Strasberg's acting for tongues like
Yeah.
class.
I'm
Like,
gonna make you an offer. Maybe he was like,
this feels like another sketch to me. Like tongue acting. Like,
I'm gonna make you an offer. Children like,
Well, tongue act. I do want to say though that like one positive in a sense, the success of Gone Girl is in the casting, and that casting was really A+ work in the part of like the husband getting, you know, spoiler alert or whatever on Gone Girl, but the husband who's like getting framed, Ben Affleck, who is playing this hapless dude who is easily unlikable and easy to frame as hapless asshole.
he must be responsible.
Yeah, I feel like part of what made Gone Girl so successful is one, Rosamund Pike was like, she fucking knocked that role out of the park,
she's
but
great.
but she was made all the more likable in that role, juxtaposed against someone who's so easy to dislike. And I think part of that being due to sort of an overstuffed legacy, which like the bubble burst around this time as we talked about with Gigli, and it started you're becoming a parody of yourself, you know, at a certain point. Like
he is a parody of himself.
Yeah.
like I feel like there's good casting when you can do that kind, like Tarantino's done that with people who have like a weird contentious relation with the public, or
but they
like
understand like, oh, but you have a quality.
there's something about that that can be, you know, extracted. So Anyway, check out Gigli on HBO Max.
I would strongly suggest that you don't.
Yeah, I would encourage that you just listen to this podcast and never think about it again.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we did it for you.
I mean, seriously, like, you're welcome. You owe me 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, for the time that you've invested into this episode, whether you even enjoyed it or not, I don't care. We
suffered for this.
We still saved you time because Gigli is literally over 2 hours long.
Yeah,
It's 30 minutes too long, and yet nothing happened.
It's about It's 120 minutes too long.
It felt like the movie was reaching an apex of some point, and we were only at the halfway mark, and I was like, where is this going? What is this? Like,
yeah. Well, as we found out, it sounds like it got edited and
brutally chopped.
Brutally.
Yes.
And the name just didn't really mean much either, too. Like, the name had there's no like family legacy that he's honoring or something. Like, there's no,
The Giglies.
it's just a stupid name that they make fun of in
House
the
of
beginning.
Gigli.
House of Gigli. It's so stupid. I mean, just like at least like, I mean, even Corky Romano, it's like the name is significant because he is of the Romano mob family, and he's quirky, he's weird. His name is Corky Romano. Like, there's significance to that, you know, or like in these, and Gigli is just this fucking nobody. It's not implied that he's part of any sort of legacy or whatever. He's just some hitman. He's just
they're underwritten.
So the name is
Marketed as
literally
something else.
insignificant. The stupid, difficult to pronounce.
It did
Jiggle.
It did like adjust our lexicon though, because suddenly like Gigli became like kind of a word for failure. Well, people, you should follow Michelle on social media.
Sorry, it's just this movie. It drains you. It fucking
does.
drains you.
I know. I was like excited to talk about how bad it was, and now I'm
It just gets
tired.
exhausting because you're overstimulated with everything that's so bad about it. Your brain
it is
shuts down.
overwhelming.
Yeah, you know.
I had to do a palate cleanser after watching it last
What'd you do?
night.
Yeah.
I watched the new Gossip Girl, which is bad.
Oh.
Good bad.
It was true. Like anything is a palate cleanser to Gigli,
Truly
huh?
anything. I could watch like the paint dry on my wall. As a palate cleanser.
I think I actually turned off the TV for once after
Whoa.
Gigli. I was like,
this
I just
did
need
it
to
for
be
you.
alone for a little while.
I'm done.
I was like, I need to be alone with my thoughts.
I just need to
I'm gonna go read a book.
This thing hurt me. I'm not gonna let you
Just gonna
hurt
switch
me
that
anymore.
off. But seriously, follow Michelle.
Yeah,
on
no,
social
she's
media.
she's really funny.
At Michelle Driscoll. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's cool.
Because I'm cool.
Yeah.
I like
and
that.
that's on the Instagram.
That's on Instagram, and then Twitter is Mish Driscoll because it wouldn't let me.
Thanks for listening to A Breath of Fresh Movie. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Fresh Movie Pod, or you can send us an email at abreathoffreshmovie@gmail.com.